Hey everyone, welcome back to Breakthrough Innovation, the podcast where we dig into the real stories behind the people and ideas reshaping our world. Today's guest knows what it takes to not just start a company, but to start a movement. Stuart Draper is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and the founder of Stukent, an edtech company that transformed digital marketing education through simulation. Before the age of 40, Stu had already landed on the Inc. 5000 list 10 times and helped over 1 million students in more than 80 countries. He's also coined the term Simternships, bringing hands-on learning with real-world results in higher ed. Now, through his Startups with Stu podcast, he's paying it forward, coaching founders on how to launch with vision, scale with integrity, and innovate without selling out. Stu, I've been looking forward to this all day. Welcome to Breakthrough Innovation.
JL, thanks for having me on the show. It's good to be with you.
Awesome. So maybe to start off, tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got to where you are today.
The backstory for an entrepreneur, there's always things from like your childhood that I think shape you. I'm number 6 of 8 kids, and you have to find your way to fit when there's 8, and you have to find your way to get tension when there's 8, and you're clear down
Yeah.
at number 6 in the order. And so I learned a lot from growing up in a large family, and it blessed my life for sure. I wrestled, I played baseball, I did a lot of things young. I participated in student body stuff in high school. All those things had an impact on me. I chose to serve a mission for my church in Argentina for 2 years. That had an impact on my ability to succeed as an entrepreneur. And then um, got my degree at BYU Idaho. Graduated in 2008. So right before the crash in July of 2008, I graduated, and I failed at summer sales. I failed at used car sales. I finally did good in sales for a property management software company, but because it was '08, we ran out of funding. And
No.
the founder pulled us all in a room and said, "Hey, I regret to inform you that I don't have a way to hit payroll today. So for the last 2 weeks of work, I don't have any way to pay you. Feel free to go home." And so I was going home to my young wife and son to say for the third time, like, I've lost my job already. So I started on into entrepreneurship because I had to make lemonade out of the lemons. And I started at getfoundfirst.com doing Google ads. To that, I did Christmas lights as a service installation, and risked my life for a few $1,000 in college. Those things shape you, all those
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And then, as I was doing digital marketing, I learned that young, I had become an expert in something that CMOs didn't know. 40 and 50-year-olds, well into their career, making really good money, didn't know the information I knew that was truly reshaping the job of a marketer in corporations. And so really blessed to have hit that wave just right. And at a time when it was really hard to get into a marketing career, it was really easy if you knew digital marketing. So I was really grateful to a guy named Kent Lundeen, taught me digital marketing. And so he asked me to come back and teach digital marketing at BYU Idaho, my alma mater. And I was 4 years out of college teaching college kids. And that was a huge opportunity for me. And when I was teaching, I realized Kent hadn't changed the curriculum from 4 years ago when he taught me. But I was so grateful that he was willing to teach a subject that he didn't know. When he was in college, he was using a typewriter, right? And so that's how the idea for my last startup that really went to the moon, Stukent, was born. And it's named Stukent after Kent, my professor that taught me digital marketing. Stukent plays on the word student, and most people only know it for that reason. But yeah, it was a good run at Stukent, my largest success in my career. Both getfoundfirst.com that I started after my 3 failed jobs, and then Stukent are still alive and well, and I'm cheering both of them on from the sidelines. I'm on the board of Stukent, and I'm running my podcast now, Startups with Stu, which is really fun. So there's my fast Reader's Digest version of my backstory for you there, JL.
I love it. I know I'm doing research for a talk I'm giving in June on, kind of what it means to be innovative. And my perspective is it takes creativity and resilience. And what I love about your story is it shows both, right? Like you had that perseverance, resilience to keep going and keep pushing rather than just taking whatever you could find. And it really pays off. I think that's the moral of that story is if you can continue to be creative, continue to think differently, shift your perspective and see opportunities, and then not give up over time and to learn from the failures, you're going to innovate. You're going to create something valuable and innovative. And I love it. Fantastic story. I am curious though. So you talked about Stukent coming to life through your time in college and with your what was the gap? Talk to me a little bit more about the gap you were trying to fill in education and what that looks like.
Yeah, I think for every founder, they have this moment, Jail, when they say, like, there's got to be a better way. And they see a problem and they go, I bet I can come up with a solution, or I bet there's another solution out there. And then they go look and they don't find one. So then they say, huh, well, maybe I can be the solution to that problem. Right. And so for me, here I was 4 years out of college teaching students digital marketing the same way I had been taught digital marketing 4 years prior. And I knew that over that 4 years, it had evolved immensely. From 2007 to 2011, digital marketing had changed so much and would continue to evolve from 2011 to 2021 a lot. Right. And the education system is, especially the publishing world, is set up on like 3-year windows. Every third year, they look at a textbook, they see if it's selling well. And if it's selling well, they do another edition. But if it's not selling well, they still don't do another edition. They push it off another couple of years, see if it's improving, see if there's demand for improvements, and then they'll make an investment in improvements. Well, the world of digital marketing was moving way too fast for that, right?
Right.
And so I came up with the idea to write a textbook on digital marketing, and I would update it twice a year. But there was no platform. Pearson, McGraw-Hill, Cengage, Macmillan, none of them were going to do that. And so I realized, oh, like I could create a website and just host the book on my website and give people password protected access to their own digital license of the textbook, and I could update it every year, and the professors would love me for keeping it current, right? So they loved and hated me for that when we
Right.
did it twice a year, because at Christmas time they didn't want to relearn everything for the next
Right.
semester and see what changes had come. They didn't want to think about it, so we stopped it twice a year and did just once a year. And then we did like a hybrid model where we'd like let people know like only these pages have changes. Just go look there. And we found a ways to adjust our innovation. And the innovation was not a new textbook. It was not a new platform. Digital textbooks existed, but the innovation was being able to stay current. And the other business models did not allow for that because they were so stuck in their traditional print publishing model.
I love that. I mean, I can remember looking back on like my computer science degree and coming out of that, how far behind they were. And I think it was at least 5 years, if I'm being brutally honest. Now, what you're talking about is that textbook kind of view, which I love, and challenging an established industry in a lot of ways, which I also love. But you also mentioned something else, the Simternship. How does that fit in?
Okay, so I appreciate you bringing up the Simternship, because what I just mentioned was just my idea for a textbook that stayed current, right? By the way, stay current became the slogan for Stukent. But the idea of a simulation to practice hands-on learning, that existed. Simulations existed, but there wasn't one
Yeah.
for the subject of digital marketing. And there wasn't any textbook and simulation company doing both of those things as a combined sold digital license.
Right.
So I say just the textbook up front because I didn't come up with the idea for a simulation. It was in looking for a co-author for the textbook that the co-author who did become my co-author, Jeff Larson at BYU, Marriott School of Management, top 20 business school. Shout out to him for joining forces with me and seeing the vision. He said, Stu, I'm not interested in a textbook. I like the way I just use free resources online. I send my students to go read those. I said, but bro, there's broken links. That content doesn't stay current. You have to go get new links for the students. Like it's hard for the students to know for sure what exactly is the reading assignment. Do they have to click all the other links within the page? And he goes, Stu, I don't care. What I want is a simulation. If I had a way to not have to make every student in the class learn WordPress and build a website, and figure out hosting. I spent half of the class figuring out how to teach these kids how to have their own website built so then they can practice digital marketing. And I'm wasting so much time teaching marketers that will never run websites. This is a problem. He's like, if you came up with a solution for that, I would be a buyer. And so I found a way, teamed up with some Romanians, and that for that very fall, that was in the spring or late early summer. That summer, I found some Romanian engineers that had actually built a V1 minimum viable product of a simulation that let you practice pay-per-click ads. And I
Wow.
said, hey, Jeff, I've got a simulation you can try this semester. Are you in? And he was all in, so
Nice.
excited. And it was like, it's one thing to have an idea for an innovation and another to have a user that really wants your innovation, that's telling you they need it. And when you bring that to them, they're on, they're in, they're going to
Yeah.
use it. So Jeff started using the simulation that fall. So my original idea for the business was a textbook. It didn't exist yet. And my first customer was using my customer's idea. That's
Nice.
huge. And they were a top 20 business school. So when your first customer is a top tier institution in the
Yeah.
space, reputable, and they use it and they like it, getting your next customers is so much easier. University of Minnesota,
Yeah.
Oregon State start using it. And that allowed us the time. And all of a sudden, Jeff saw, hey, Stu's the real deal. Stu's taking this serious. Yeah, hey, Stu, I will co-author a textbook that
Right.
can pair with this simulation. And that was
Right.
his genius to take a bet on me. I paid him way too much a royalty. Love you, Jeff, but you're overpaid. Just kidding. And he and I co-authored this textbook that didn't even start being used until we already had like 60 universities on simulation that knew that the textbook was coming and were excited for it.
There's this book called The Mom Test. I don't know if you've ever read it. I may even have it here. Yeah, I do. Here you go. The Mom Test
Okay.
by Rob Fitzpatrick. And the way they talk about it in there is you never go to people and ask them like, "What do you think of my product?" Because they're going to lie to you with the best of intentions. Like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Sure, I'd buy that." No, but when you go to ask someone, how much is the solution to this problem you have worth, and they say, "Oh man, I would pay this much if I could just solve this problem." Like that starts to be valuable information because they're not trying to be nice. They're talking about something that's bothering them. And I love that. That's what you had there. And that's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely is a win when the customers are telling you what they want. You just have to be careful that it's not only what one customer wants and
It
that
has to be
everyone
bigger.
agrees. So,
Or if it is one customer, it's that customer who has the ability to kind of lead the market in some form.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So now moving on kind of to startups with Stu, you've talked to a number of different entrepreneurs within your podcast and probably even before that. Given what you've learned from everyone you've talked to, how do you think innovations are spawning in 2025? And how can we predict what's going to be impactful, innovative, like for 2035?
Yeah. So having entrepreneurs on my show, both very successful and totally failed 3-time kind of founders. I have a mix that's so cool. Have a guy that went from 200 million valuation for his business in sorry, not in valuation, in revenues. His revenues went from 0 to 200 million in 8 years time selling, get this, leather bags. He started with leather journals, grew it without a website, just at art festivals from 0 to 1 million, and 1 million to 4 million at art festivals and Etsy. And then when he hit 4 million, he finally got a Shopify account and grew from there to 8, 16, 32, 64, 120. It just
Wow.
kept growing, right? That's the Curtis Matsko episode. If you guys want to go check it out, his is so fascinating to me because what is innovative in 2025 about a leather bag?
Right.
There's nothing new or different about a leather bag, but the way he's selling it, the way that he is changing the color options within leather, the way that he is finding ways to reconnect with his audience so they buy a second time, buy a fourth time. The way
Yeah.
he offers new deals all the time. Finally, after 8 years, he's starting to get his first physical presence stores. And so he's doing it so different than all of his competition did it. Most competitors that would be starting today, they would start with the website.
Right.
He didn't do that. He made some products and he got in front of an audience that had money, that that valued that journal that was leather bound because it was art,
Right.
right? So his innovations are not mind-blowing tech, right? They are changes in the way he's connecting with his audience that others have not been able to figure out. And so a lot of his innovations are in the go-to-market strategy, not the product. And I think a lot of innovators forget that sometimes. A lot of founders put more value on the product innovations, and you need both. And he is doing some unique things. Like if you pay close attention, you'll see like, oh, he's kind of mimicking some of the high-end bags, but then he's giving color options that the high-end bags aren't giving, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I would say though, you to answer your question about 2025 and the spawning of ideas. If you look at Uber as an example from the last decade, Uber is an idea that everyone goes, why didn't I think of that, right?
Yeah.
But there was MapQuest first. And
Right.
people would go online and say, how do I get somewhere? And print off directions to a place, right? And then they could give those to a taxi driver. Like the technology got far enough along that we went from 3G to 4G and boom, right? Like as soon as we had G technology for mobile apps, all of a sudden we had the speed for that idea to really work. But then you have to remember, it's not just that idea. It's not just that product and the timing of the app. It's the go-to-market strategy of innovation that's really powerful for the innovation of product to work. So what do they do? You get a free ride, and your friend that you share it with is gonna get a free ride. And you can keep doing that with multiple friends and keep getting free rides because they knew that if I give 2 free rides, I'll get at least 10
And
lifetime
yeah.
value rides out of that customer. So there's always return for the investors that come on board for our idea, and 0 to billions, right?
Yeah.
That's what they did. So, okay, 2025's here. What's gonna change? Will it be the speed of data processing that allows us to have new innovations? Will it be other new ideas? You see, with Stukent, we had simulations exist, textbooks existed. Marrying the two into one user license hadn't been done yet. Doing
Right.
it for subjects that it hadn't been done in yet, that was another chance for innovation for us. Changing into not just simulations, but simulated internships that we coined the term Simternships, that was unique to us. And so we've continued to evolve and create new experiences that education has literally never seen before. And the more money we make, the more revenues we generate, the more money we have to reinvest in new innovations. And I think that's a big key to innovating that founders sometimes lose sight of when they start fighting for profits versus keeping those profits as retained earnings to reinvest in R&D.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I love the idea that the innovation is not just about the product or service. It's about everything. And I think when we look at like design sprints for centered, one of the things we're always looking at is how can we look at the way you're doing it just as much as what you're doing it for. All right. So Stu, we do have to wrap up a little bit. I'm curious, what is your takeaway? What's your insight for our listeners? If they only listen to one part of this podcast episode, this is it. What do they need to know?
Okay. I have so many things I would love to share, JL, but here's my other innovation insight that I don't think people realize. Your innovations can come from the legal agreements that you make. So within the education space, these publishers have agreements where you're on a 3-year commitment to be the author for them. And at the end of 3 years, they'll review your contract and see if they'll let you write a second edition. Well, for us, we said, we want you to commit that you will write a second edition for year 2 today, you're already on the hook to write the second edition with us. And you're going to do it a year from now because you agree that it's right that we stay current, that the education space doesn't lag behind, academia doesn't lag behind industry. And so our legal contracts were a place for innovation. Your agreements with your partners and your agreements with your customers, there are opportunities within those agreements not to be fine print sleaze bag, but to do a good job of setting a standard agreement that allows you to always be innovating. Yeah. So don't think it's your innovation doesn't come. Here it is. This is the one liner that it's going to become your Instagram reel. Okay. Don't think that innovation only comes from product. It comes from go to market strategy, your legal contracts, and your branding.
Love it. Love it. Stu, this has been absolutely fantastic. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, all the whole conversation. For our listeners, if they want to partner with you, if they want to learn more about Stukent or Simternships or even your podcast, how do they get in contact?
Yeah, Stukent.com, Stukent. Go check out the website. And Startups with Stu. Easy to search, easy to find. I spell my name STU just like it is found in the alphabet. And I would love to connect on LinkedIn. So I'm Draper Stu on LinkedIn.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Stu, thank you again. For everyone else who's made it all the way to the end, thank you as well. I want to encourage you, take a moment, think about who would benefit from learning a little bit more from Stu, hearing a little bit about Stu Kent, learning about the Startups with Stu podcast, and take that moment, share this episode with them, and pay it forward. And while you're doing that, leave a rating or a review for us as well, because it helps out a lot. That said, thank you again for listening. Stu, thank you again for being here, and we'll see you all next time on Breakthrough Innovation.
Thanks for having me, JL.